When the outline application was put in, it gave, and then because both applications came in at the same time, consecutively. So the illustration of what was proposed on this side was included on the illustrative drawings on the other side. So we've always been aware of what's proposed on both sides, and that this wouldn't prejudice development on the next site if this was to be approved tonight.
Just to support what Pat Craftsman has said, I noted that comment about the 3-metre high fence, which seemed incongruous that we should even be mentioning it here, because that in itself would be a reason for refusal, in my opinion, on its own rights. What I'm more concerned about is the impact on the street scene and the impact on the site of what is currently being proposed. The problem is with the application that is down for outline approval, we know so little about it, we can't possibly judge at this stage what impact it might have on the one that we are here to approve. And Sheila has said we have to look at this one on its merits now and reflect the fact that the previous one had only had outline approval at this stage. Now, whether that is going to change our judgment on how to approve that at a later stage is a matter for a future meeting, clearly. But I think it would be helpful if we had shown on the screen the actual site plan showing the new building compared to the old building and its relation to the building which ostensibly has received outline planning permission. The other thing I think it would be useful to show is one of the drawings that we saw at the site visit, which was the elevation actually off the road, showing the bungalows to the right-hand side, the 3-storey houses to the right-hand side, and the effect of the roof line on those. The third thing that concerned me was the point made by Councillor Hodgson was this apparent dispute between whether the building was 5.1 metres forward of the original site or 4 metres forward. There seemed to be a point of fact whether one is right and the other one is right. We don't know. And I think it does have an impact on the street scene, particularly if this new house is to be brought so far forward that it's intrusive on the site scheme by virtue of its appearance, its size, and general character, if you like. So I don't know whether you can give me some answers to those. First of all, I'd like to see the site plan showing the two buildings in relation to each other. Secondly, the elevation showing the houses as fitting into the street scene with adjacent properties. And thirdly, this comment that we quite often get at these meetings, which does slightly annoy me, the fact that some of these dimensions are challenged either by the applicant or by objectors. And sometimes we never quite get to the bottom of it, but pass it through without further consideration, and I find that a little bit hard to stomach. So, with that comment, I don't know whether Sheila would like to come back and clarify things for us.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'll try and find it in the drawings. We have got a street scene, I think it's here. I'll look. Right, through you, Chair. This is the proposed house in the centre of the site. This is the adjacent property 58 to the right. And then this is an indication of what may or may not be built on the site next to it to the left-hand side. That building hasn't got permission because it's an outline application, so it's just purely illustrative. There is a larger street plan, but that is clear. That's yeah, that's it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So that shows to the right-hand side, immediately to the right-hand side, 2 bungalows and a 2-storey house. And to the left-hand side, what is currently a site only occupied by 1 bungalow, which is the applicant's site. And suddenly, we're going to find a situation where there's 2 2-storey houses on that plot. For whatever reason, partly due to the outline planning commission and partly due to the one we're being asked to consider this evening. So that's quite a change in the street scene, isn't it? And if we look at that, we just listed at the bottom, I think, the site plan, which we were showing a moment ago at the bottom, shows the increase in size as a footprint from the existing bungalow to the new 2-storey development. I think that's the bottom of the figure. Now then, we need to just clarify which is which on that one. But as you can see, there are 2 houses there on a plot that is currently occupied by 1 bungalow. So, you know, it looks to me as though, taken in context, the 2 developments together would be an overdevelopment on the site. That's my considered opinion. I still haven't seen, I think we need to try and find it, Sheila, is the drawing which compares the existing bungalow with the appearance of the proposed two-storey development? I know we looked at that at the site visit. I don't know whether you got that with you, Sheila.
No, through you, Chair, that's our drawing. That's what we've amended for our comparisons. But measuring that drawing, I can explain it in relation to that plan. The front of the existing building has a similar building plan to number 58, which is shown on the plan. The distance when you measure from the existing front elevation of the bungalow to the main front elevation of the new house is 3 metres and 4 metres. It's a staggered building, the bungalow there at the minute, so it sets back in. At its longest it's 4 metres, at its shortest it's 3 metres. However, I don't know whether the confusion has arisen from the balcony, because there is a balcony at the first floor which projects out another 2 metres, so that will take it to 5 metres. But the main elevation of the two-storey building is only 3 metres and 4 metres further forward from the existing bungalow, taking into account the stagger.
Right. Okay, so the 5.1 metres includes the balcony and the 4 metres is the main curve of the two-storey building. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know where it's from, but that could be an answer to where 5 metres is from.
So just to continue with this, the two houses are fairly close together, let's put it that way, for those houses in that area, in my opinion, and I know the area quite well. The fence line on the left-hand side, for the one that has outline planning permission, that seems about 2 metres away, if that, from the fence. Would that be approximately right?
It's roughly 4 metres between the two, so yes.
Okay. So what we're looking at is quite a large development on what was previously a very open site, plus the fact we've got a two-storey building brought forward from the line of the existing bungalow to the extent that it could give the appearance locally of being an overdevelopment of the site at the time that the two were constructed. I say it could be. I'm not commenting either way. I'm saying that is what the people who are objecting are trying to draw our attention to. And I have some sympathy with their view, although I accept that it is a very large site and a lot of people will be only too delighted to put 5 houses on that site, but that's not the point, because those would be totally out of context with this area. And we are required as a planning committee to try and reflect the continuing nature of the areas in which our residents reside. Otherwise it would be hopeless and impossible to do the planning job at all. So really, I just wanted those situations drawn to people's attention. The picture the plan that you showed us on the site visit, Sheila, you haven't got that available on the screen, that's just a... No. But it does show, I think we've reflected on a size of 210 square metres rather than the 102, which is the size of the existing bungalow. That's the point I think we need to take into account in terms of development. Is that all right? Okay. I don't think I can comment anymore at this stage, and just ask other people if they would like to take note of the comment they've made to see if they want to draw their own conclusions from it. I'm ambivalent at the moment. One side of me says I don't like this development, I think it's too much on the one side, plus the fact we don't know the detail of what this outline planning commission is going to come up with. We've no idea what the windows are going to be like, who's going to overlook what or anything. It's all ambiguous at the present time. And I don't like approving something where half of it is ambiguous and the other part is well defined. That's just a natural reaction of mine. But let other people have something to say.
Well, we can only judge an application on the application that's in front of the state, as you well know. A question I was going to ask was the outline application for the number 62 as it stands. Will that have to come in front of the planning committee before it's built anyway?
Not necessarily, no. It could be determined under delegated powers unless something takes it out of delegation.
So it has to be...
Unless, of course, Chair, somebody asks for it to be taken out of delegation. If somebody asks for that to be taken out of delegation, it would
then has to
come before this.
So it could come before the committee and then you could make a judgment on what exactly it is that goes there. But I mean, we're here tonight purely to make a decision on the house that's in front of us. Pat?
Thanks, Chair. I just want to check on a piece of information. Councillor Hodgson referred to the building line of the Heswall bungalows up to number 60. That's 58, 56, 54, 52. There does appear on this plan to be a building line. If this planning application is
breach, I mean, certainly, yes, it can be a breach of the building line, can be quite an important for the matter. I would suggest in this case, though, if you look at the ordnance survey plan, it's a very varied building line, and it would be hard to pin a refusal based on that. When it changes throughout the length of the road, it's because the nature of the road is bending, it's not consistent.
But we're not talking about the length of the road, are we? We're talking about this particular area where there just appears to be.
I think if you look at the plan on page 95, you'll see the building line is very aggressive, isn't it? It goes with the road. Stuart, I think you'll take it.
It was only I agree with Dave Ellison's assessment of the issue that we seem to have about this application, which is extremely detailed, seems to be running in parallel in the same sense with an application that is indicative or no. I find that incredibly disconcerting. I don't think it's in any way acceptable in my view to say that there is a site. I'm going to sort of like salami slice it up and have it determined in a slightly different way in order to, for want of a better way, play the system, because we're supposed to determine things on the merits. But looking at the plan, one of the indicative nature, it would strike me that the two of them together, the one that already has plan permission in that line, which will now be impossible to resist a housing development on 2 stories on the site, 62 is a potential number, because we're going to get outline plan permission. Knowing that we're given outline plan permission, we're going to get a 2-story house there. In my view, would say that will be sufficient development in that area to squeeze another one in. Would be overdevelopment. But the system is attempting to be played, in my view, because the developer effectively is saying, yeah, but I haven't told you exactly what's going on the outline site. I'm only telling you what's going on this site. And then I'll bang in the next one, which you won't be able to refuse because you've already given the outline plan. A most unsatisfactory way of progressing, in my view. So, having seen the plans that are submitted, in the sense that we're looking at this application and the plans that are legally submitted, which we have to consider, we can see how it will look in terms of what might be proposed, certainly on the indicative plans that the development gives, against what is now proposed in this application. And the two of them together, in my view, I agree with David, would seem to me to constitute development of the site. One or other, on their own, probably would not. And I think it's that argument. I'm looking at the development, looking at the objectives plan of it. And on its own, okay, I can see that it might look a little bit large. On its own, probably no grounds particularly to refuse it. That might not sit like a third two together on the same side. I think that is overwhelming.
Well, I'm glad I've listened to varying opinions. I mean, you have to be completely and utterly sitting here with your blindfold on not to notice, just from that map alone, that is the largest plot in that run by a considerable amount. And I think we're being asked, if you like, to even up, in many ways, the plot sizes. If you look at the sort of, if you go right to the top, there's a long, thin, narrow piece. That is the sort of widest plot. None of the others would be allowed, I would say, would be allowed development of 2 properties on, but certainly that plot size is, and would even when whatever going on the site, as we haven't got the full detail, would not look out of keeping with the general, acreage or whatever it is, plot size. So my view is that, yeah, people in that road, quite right, it's a beautiful road, should be precious about it and protect it. And there's no chance on earth that that won't be called out of delegation when the detailed application comes in to be reviewed. I think we are on dangerous ground if the applicants in the room listening to you say, we're refusing this because we don't know what's on the other side, then that will fall foul of any appeal if those sort of statements are made. So whoever's going to move reasons for refusal, there'll be cast iron planning reasons to get my support. So I think you're sailing into dangerous territory, and that may be what was planned with the original application. My view is generally plot size. If any other site was to be developed to properties, it would possibly be that size, and that's why I think generally, unless I hear really good reasons to refuse that, it wouldn't be that big actually.
I endorse what Steve said. Unless there's really good plan and reasons why we can refuse this, we will be very, very, very careful what we say here as a plan because it will just go to appeal and we will use it. So we have to be very careful with what we say and how we steer this argument. I think Elise wants to come in, but we'll take some advice following this. Yeah, the recommendation at this present moment is to approve. So, Elise, what do you want to say?
Thank you, Chair. I attended the site visit and I agree with what Councillor was saying here about the size of the plot in consideration to the others. The other thing that I noted is the existing building compared to the new building is going to be moved considerably away from the building that was there. I do have concerns about the amount of excavation that's going to need to take place, as Councillor mentioned, because it is quite thick shrubbery there. I do think maybe we should have, if it does go to Wirral, we should have something in there that we could say there needs to be some sort of protection there. And just lastly, I agree with Dave that based on what we're saying, I don't believe that there's a legitimate point of view for refusal. And when we look at the second site for planning, then I'm sure somebody will take that out of delegation and we can discuss that matter of whether it's overdeveloped at that point. Thank you.
If members are concerned about the 3 million metres fence, by the way, we can make sure there's a condition put in to make sure that doesn't go ahead, so that can be done. And it's a very valid point that Elise has just made, that the property is going to be moved significantly away from the house that's next door to it now. So there's going to be a much larger distance. I can't remember how many metres it was in this house. 3 metres away from the house next door. So it's moving away 5.6 metres away from the house nearest to it as well. So we can put that condition on. So in the officer's recommendation now is to approve. So if anybody can give me sound reasons, or if anybody wants to propose a refusal with sound reasons, now is your time, please.
So if there's no reason to refuse, I'll move.
Sorry, yeah. David, I don't know whether you want to move or I will move.
You move, Simon.
Well, it's all, we've already moved acceptance. I'm sorry, so you can't. Once it's moved, you can't. I did give the option. Did I not? So we need a seconder.
Can't both speak at once.
We need a seconder. Anita. So we've had somebody who's moved approval and we've had a seconder. So all those in favour of the officer's recommendation to approve this, can you please show? All those against? So that's been carried. Thank you very much.
Biggest disgrace.
Yeah, you did. I'll put it up tomorrow. Okay.
Because the way you did that, what would it be under?
Just go to, write down the address. Where have you got the Yeah, I'm recording. Have you got one?
Yeah, we've got one here.
Yeah, sure. Well, now we've seen that. I think that's the address. But if that doesn't work, just try search it.
How do you find out what order you're going to be in?
Seems very
Because 71 before 5 it's on there, so they're not sticking to the agenda. So I think ideally the transport, everyone transports and when you go to what were you here for?
Right, now that everybody settled down, let's move on with the agenda, please. Item number 6, please. Can we have a presentation on the Wellington Road, Brighton, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for a change of use of the building. It's currently vacant and the proposal is to change it to a care home for adults with learning difficulties. The proposed use is a mix of C2 and C3. So C2 is a care home use, C3 is a normal residential use. They're uses that are generally appropriate in residential areas, which this is. The proposal would mean that the front part of the building could be used as accommodation for people who need help and need care. So up to 4 people could live in the front of the building with staff assisting them. The idea of the proposal is an extension at the back of the building, a 2-storey extension which has been there for a long time, and that could be used as independent units. So when people progress to a stage of independent living, they can not move that far away, they can still live nearby and live in those units. The building itself was previously a hotel. It's been vacant for some time and is falling into disrepair. Surrounding uses are predominantly residential, some flats, some single family uses. The properties immediately to the right, or to the east, 67 and 69, are currently a care home by the same applicant, and it's proposed that if approved, this building would be used in conjunction with the existing care home. Our unitary development plan policies require that no more than 20% of properties in an area or frontage in an area are occupied by care home uses or sheltered accommodation. It also requires that there isn't a cluster of together in a particular location as well. So taking into account the immediate area, so the properties that run along that side of Wellington Road and opposite, it isn't more than 20%. It fulfills that aspect of the policy. What it does result in, however, is a cluster of 3 units together which are in care home use, which we would normally resist. However, given that they are part and parcel of the same site, and given that the previous use of the building was a commercial use or a residential use, it's felt that this will not materially affect the character of the area. On the basis of that, the proposal is recommended for approval. There is a qualified petition.
Is the petitioner here? Does the petitioner want to make representation?
Yes.
Do you want to come forward to make representation?
To oppose?
To oppose, yes. Can you just come forward to this table, please? You see the microphone's got a silver button on it at the bottom, which is what turns it on and off. So you can just give us that's great. Can you just give us your name and where you live, and you have 5 minutes to address the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm Neil Thomas. I'm a retired dentist, and I live at 30 Wellington Road, have done for the last 20 years. 30 Wellington Road is dead opposite the proposed development. Now, I've got to tell you, I've only twice a mile written an opposed planning application, and this is my first very interesting visit to a hearing. I am certainly not a NIMBY, and normally quite liberal in outlook. But I oppose this on 3 grounds. 1, the extension from 67, 69 to 71 will almost double the existing frontage, and it certainly will double the number of clients. This, I believe, is an over-concentration and an intensive use in a residential area. 2, the road is already very crowded with parked cars from the carers and the visitors to the existing home. and they already had use of the front of 71. They use it now. To double the number of clients can only add to our problems with the highway community. I mentioned earlier that I'm fairly liberal. I wouldn't be over-bothered by those first two, but number 3 clinches it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last year, we've been plagued with noise, shouting, abuse, and particular foul language, which would have made an old-time docker blush. It was so bad that I cannot really even think of repeating it in front of a group of older gentlemen in the pub. It was that bad. The police were attending almost daily, and one client was particularly intimidating when we used our front door. Best summer for years, we faced south, and we couldn't use it because of this character. My written and verbal complaints were